questions, a friend that knows everything, that you can extract all the information from. So you start in a very logical manner. You open up the conversation, and then now that you have more information, you can now keep asking. Maybe you are curious about a particular aspect of the conversation, then you can zoom into that particular aspect of the conversation for it to give you more and better answers. And that is what we call prompt priming. Prompt priming. So make sure that you know how to do that. These are examples. So this is a text without what? Let's look at the first example. Oh, sorry. My distance keeps moving. Let's look at the first example. This is an example. The first one here is an example where there was no prompt priming. So create 3 essential titles for my new course, a new online course that teaches how to use AI. But here you notice that we go into more details. I've now given what here is an example of my recent course titles. Please emulate the styling and then rating format of this. So you notice that I've now given a context. I've given vivid examples of this particular prompt so that it will guide it on exactly what I want. So anytime you are writing a prompt, don't just write one sentence. So
People that just want to snap something and forget.
you notice that in that particular the vital sign prompt, I didn't really give details about it. So what it did was to give me what general details. So anytime you want to actually do prompt priming, make sure that you give specific details of it. You can even give it certain examples and then ask it to what? Do justice based on that. So if any of you have any idea, you can write it down and then will practicalize it when I finish talking about the techniques. Now, we also have another important one called chain of thought prompting. What is chain of thought prompting?
This is house.
If chain of thought simply means that what went into the what thought process of that particular prompt. So anytime you want to do a chain of thought prompting, you don't just want to know the answer, you want to know what exactly went into it. So let's do an example of a chain of thought prompting. I'll create a new GPT here, a new conversation. So let's do a mathematical one. So what is the largest prime number? At least all of us know what a prime number is. So think step by step. I can just click on reason here. If I click on reason here, it will give me more information. So if I click on the reason, I don't even need to do the thing step by step. I'll just uh, remove this and then go. So what is the reason? Reason means that show me how you went into the thought process. You know what a prime number is: 1, 3, 5, 7, and the rest. So we don't know what the largest one is. So let's click on that and see how the reasoning processes. So it has started thinking. Usually thinking takes time. So it will take time to do that. I don't know if we are logging into this. Let's do that on this one. What is the largest prime number? And let's let it think. So I'll click on enter, and then let's go back to the chat GPT. Okay, so it took 9 seconds to think, and let's see what the reasoning goes into. The user asks, what is the largest prime number? There is no largest prime number because primes are infinite. But as of now, the largest known prime number is what? A Mersenne prime, which is what? 2 raised to the power 82 million, blah, blah, blah. It was discovered in 2018 and has 24 million plus digits. So the most comprehensive answer should be there is no prime number, but the largest known prime number is this. This could mean either the largest prime number that exists isn't one. Sorry, either the largest prime number that exists, there isn't one since the primes are infinite, or the largest prime discovered. Mathematically, there is what? No prime,
Thank you.
largest prime. But you notice that it has gone into the distance. Let's look at how the DeepSeek does it. If you observe the DeepSeek answer, that's why I keep telling you that be careful about who tells anyone telling you that a particular model is the best. In terms of reasoning, so far I've seen that this particular uh, model is very good at thinking. You notice that the chat GPT didn't really give you much information in the thinking process and it started giving us answers. But if you observe the DeepSeek R1, it was able to what? Go into much details. It was conversing with you as a human being and then as much as possible trying to dig into the details and then knowing exactly how to then get the prime number. So it had a very longer reasoning that if you read will make much more sense than what this particular chat GPT is producing before it goes into the answer. So you notice that the answer, it didn't really have to give you much answer. It went straight to the point that theoretically there is no largest prime number based on Euclid's theorem that primes are Euclid in the year 3000 BC was able to prove that primes are infinite. By contradiction, it is a final list of all prime numbers that existed, multiplying them. And then the largest known one as at 2023 is this particular one. And then there is a way of testing whether a particular number is prime or not. You can, after detecting it, you can what? Check if it's a prime number or not. So you notice that this particular one, it gives you a better answer in terms of this reasoning. So we call this chain of thought reasoning. Chain of thought means that before it will give you an answer, what it has to do is that it has to think like a human being, consider all the constraints, try as much as possible to consider all the possible answers before giving you the right answer. So how does it help? It helps you to what? Also reason along. At the end of the day, you also learn about something. If you didn't know about how to test for prime numbers, you would have now come to know that there is something we call a messing test or a messing prime, which can be used to what? Test the primality of any number. So chain of thought reasoning is something that we should all learn and then learn to do. Don't just let AI be spitting out answers to you. If you want to verify whether an answer is correct with your own reasoning, turn on this particular reasoning. So this one is called Deep Think Reasoning 1. It's the first reasoning model that they released, and then it caused a stir in the US stock market because it was so powerful. And then, and it's a Chinese model. The Grok also has that. So I can also ask the same question. I will just ask it to think. So meaning that beyond just giving or spitting out answers to me, tell me the reasoning process behind what I asked you so that I can also follow along and just not get that session that it knows everything and then it is just searching information and giving me answers. So we call that prompt priming. You can also let it think. What is the weight of an oxygen molecule? You can let it think for you. So you can use prompt priming for entity extraction. You can also use it for summarization and then sentiment analysis. Uh, let's also look at another technique called ask before prompting. So sometimes you want to be able to let the AI ask questions, further questions for it to what give a guide you on what exact prompt to give. What you can do is that you can what? Tell it that, okay, maybe I don't know much about that particular whatever I'm coming to ask you, but ask me further questions so that I can also what? Know exactly what parameters to give you in that particular prompt. So when you do that, the AI knows that, okay, I'm not just coming to give you any answers because I assume you know everything, but I need further information from you. So you notice that in this example, it said that, great, my question is, how can I drive more sales for my consulting business? Your task is to create a step-by-step guide for me to implement into my business, right? So ask any questions you have so that I can improve my prompt before you complete your task. So now you've told the prompt, the AI, that I don't know much about what, how to drive sales. So please, if there are any further information, you can ask me so that I can what, provide those particular information for me. So you have to know how to do this particular type of prompting also. So that is another one. The fourth one is perspective prompting. Now, what we do we call perspective? We have something we call singular, uh, multiple perspectives. So if you want to have a broader or a more comprehensive view of the topic at hand, then you can use this kind of prompting. So let's look at a singular perspective. Write about a topic from the perspective of a. So that is, if we say formula, you can put whatever you want to have there. Multiple perspective is more or less like it's a debate, and then you want debate for and then debate against. For example, so we call that multiple perspective. So let's look at this. Write about improving as a kickboxer from the perspective of what? A kickboxing coach. So is it from the perspective of a coach or the kickboxer itself? So it could also be from the what? Perspective of what? An anatomy aspect. So you notice that you've given it a particular thing to focus on. Is it also as a kickboxer itself? Is it as a coach? Is it as a manager? Is it as a manager? If I say manager, the business aspect of kickboxing, then it will be able to what? Also tell us about it. So multiple perspective will now zoom into the various perspective that you wanted to give you information about. So this is an example. Write an argument against genetically
All the
modified organisms
supplements
that
we have.
considers multiple perspectives, including the name. So here you've given the perspective of name, point of view of the different perspectives, such as what? Farmer, consumer, and then what? A geneticist. So here you've given it things to focus on when it comes to GMOs. Okay. So know how to do this kind of perspective. So if you know how to do this too, it helps you to learn more. It helps you to learn more on whatever you are doing. Okay. So uh, constructive critic prompting. This is the fifth one. What is this one? We use this one so that we can get feedback on a particular writing. So maybe you wrote an essay and you want the AI to check the essay for you to give its own view or objective view of that particular essay. You can let that particular AI do that for you. So this is an example. I want you to act as an expert and critic in the subject of, then you state the industry. Criticize my content pasted below. Convince me why it's what? Bad. For some context, my product or services, then you give details. So you notice that here, I wanted to criticize and then I'm giving it details on exactly what we want it to do. Okay, so let's look at an example of this. I want you to act as an expert and critique in the subject of fashion. Criticize my content pasted below. Convince me why it is bad and give me constructive criticism on how it should be improved. For some context, my product description is for my clothing brand for 20 to 30-year-old eco-friendly customers who appreciate unique modern aesthetics. The purpose of my product description is to get customers to purchase more clothing products. Let's think step by step, and I want you to address each piece of content individually. Here is my content to critique. So the whole content has now been provided, which is what introducing our latest addition to our eco-friendly clothing collection. The Modern Vibes t-shirt made from 100% organic cotton. This t-shirt not only feels great on your skin, but it's also kind to the environment. Right, a sleek and modern with a sleek and modern design, this t-shirt is perfect for the fashion savvy 20 to 30-year-olds and who wants to make a statement whilst being conscious of the environment. So when you do this, let's test this out quickly. When you put this in your AI, it will know exactly how to give you the prompt. So let's do a new chat and then do that. So I'll not ask it to reason since the reasoning takes time. I'll just go straight to the point and let's see what it gives us. So you see that it has been able to do the critique for me. It says that it lacks emotional appeal, and then it gives details about why it lacks emotional appeal. It is too generic and what has overused phrasing, and then it has a weak call to action, and then it has what improved it for me. So we call this constructive critique prompting. So it's more or less like you've not you've written first of all what you did was that you are a marketer. Sorry, you are a marketer, and then you don't let the AI start the writing for you. You yourself, as a human being, you have to think. After the thinking, maybe you want the AI to take over and then help you to think better. So at that point in time, you can now give it a very good construct, make it act as an expert in fashion because this AI knows everything about everything, right? So now you want it to act as a what fashion expert and then critique your whatever you've given it. Okay, so that is one other one that we can do. Another one is what comparative prompting. What is comparative prompting? You want to find out the similarities and differences of something. AI can help you do that particular one. So this is an example. Compare and contrast the following text examples. Outline the similarities, qualitative characteristics, quantitative factors, and all those other information, right? So the business and design philosophy of what? Microsoft. So let's find out how it will do that. Uh, so this is a compare and contrast. So I'll remove this particular information from here and I'll remove this particular information. So we want to critique the business and design choices of Microsoft. So comparison, first of all, it looks at the business philosophy. Microsoft, Apple focuses on what? Premium, high quality, and high end product. Microsoft focuses on what? Software driven and all those other ones. The design philosophy of Apple is what? Minimalistic design. It should be slick, it should be intuitive UI, it should prioritize aesthetic and simplicity. Then Microsoft focuses on functionality, functional productivity, design, meaning that you should be able to, first of all, function on so many devices, and then it should be compatible across all devices and all those other ones. So here you notice that it has been able to do the comparison clearly for us to be able to make our own judgments. And that is what we call comparative criticism or comparative prompting. Let's look at the seventh one. We have what we call reverse prompting. What is reverse prompting? Reverse prompting is mostly uh, just like the other one we talked about, which is the ask before prompting. Is slightly similar to the ask before prompting. If we say reverse engineering, it means that the thing is already produced, but you want to work back to the prompt. So this is an example. You are a prompt engineering expert that is able to reverse engineer prompts based on the text that is provided you. So this is how we started. I'm going to provide you with a particular content. Be as specific as possible on providing a prompting suggestion
Wait,
based on the
paper.
tone, style, syntax, language, and any other factors that you want to consider relevant. So what are we trying to do? I'm giving that particular, for example, generative AI or ChatGPT,
It's blended.
a particular test, but I don't even know the questions to ask.
Blended.
So this time around, I want it to give me suggestions on questions that I can ask. So here, let's look at an example. Great. The test is I would like you to reverse engineer is this. So let's talk about reverse prompt engineering. So this is the example here. So let me do that particular prompt so that we put it in the prompt. Uh, so let me do this. Let me quickly do that. So I'll paste this here, and then uh, let me just press enter. After that, I give it particular information to give me the prompt on. Okay, so it says it understands me. So let me paste this information into it. So Apple AirPods, uh, effortlessly magical with plenty of talking, listening time, long information. So let me now go ahead and then, hey, why is it asking? So here you notice that it has now, this a text that I don't really understand, right? And so I don't even know what questions to ask. But now it's able to understand that particular information and what is it doing. It has given me a very good prompt that I can now use to ask that particular question. So here, this is the new prompt. Write a sleek, minimalistic, and persuasive product description in the style of Apple's marketing copy. Use short, impactful sentences with a confident and refined tone. Emphasize simplicity, elegant, and then an effortless user experience. Highlight key features concisely, using phrases that evoke innovation and magic. End with a memorable aspiration tagline, right? So you notice that here, I didn't know which prompt to write, but it has reversed engineer what
I'm just
looks
going
like
there.
almost gibberish into a very good
Yes,
prompt
the
that we
animation part
can
of
do.
it. Yes.
So I'll copy this and put it in Gemini, and then let's see the
All of this
answer.
is there.
So we call that
I think this.
from reverse prompting. So let's do that. So now let's see what it will generate for us. So
Nice that. But it's using
this is it.
2, 3, 4.
So this is a better one. It has improved what looked like gibberish marketing style, right? This doesn't. This will not. this will not attract anyone. But at the end of the day, you notice that this will attract customers more than what was there.
We are the best one.
So, whatever field you are in, whether you are a nurse, you are a computer scientist, you are IT, you are business, you are